Right now at 6, it is not your ordinary landfill. Why Viroqua residents are on edge.
And it's a 4th of July tradition. Why there might be less fireworks in Wisconsin this year.
Watching WKBT La Crosse, this is News 8 Now at 6.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for News 8 Now at 6. I'm Emily Brown.
And I'm Ken Kozarowski. Viroqua's old landfill is reportedly leaking methane, and it now needs a lot of money fast to fix it.
News 8 Now's Allison Fergut explains.
What looks like an average field used to be the Viroqua landfill, and after decades of not being thought about much, it's now causing major issues for the city.
It was back before landfills look like they do now.
For years, Viroqua residents would throw their garbage into the local trash dump. That dump closed in the early 1990s, with a system in place to help vent out methane gas, which emits from decomposing waste. The city thought everything was fine, until a gas company inspected a nearby building a few months ago
And found low levels of methane in the building.
The city believes the ventilation system failed, which put them in a race against time. Even a small amount of methane can be lethal.
Methane's biggest risk is like the explosion factor.
Repeated testing confirmed Granger's fear. Massive amounts of methane had seeped into areas right outside the landfill. The DNR says the city needs a plan to fix it by June 6th.
Basically, the current proposal is to reestablish that passive venting.
Granger believes the construction of the last system was the issue. She's confident a new system with better materials will be the solution they're looking for. But the project could come with a high price tag. Granger said a consultant estimated around $400,000 to $700,000, an amount hard to find in local government.
It's likely going to end up being borrowing.
While Granger says it's too early to know exactly how the cost could impact residents' wallets, people in Viroqua say it's better to be safe than sorry.
I don't think you can really put a price tag on safety.
The city is hoping to start working on that remediation plan by the end of June. Reporting in Viroqua, Allison Fergut, News 8 Now.
And it's been a wet, stormy day so far.
It sure has. So what does tonight look like? Let's bring in our chief meteorologist, Greg Barnhart.
Well, we still got wet conditions this evening. That'll continue, but we also got smoke and haze coming back into the picture too. That's going to linger and could be an issue for the morning commute once this rain ends. Now, the good news is all the strong storms, severe weather that we could have had is now in southern Wisconsin. That line there is pushing towards Madison. Otherwise, there's your 24-hour rainfall amounts, almost up to 2 inches there at Sparta. The only bad one would be Winona, just to count that. But overall, everyone got precipitation and a good soaking rain. Typically, we need about an inch per week in June to stay on average. Now, this is visibility. Some of this is due to precipitation, some mist, but as you go towards Minneapolis, that's more due to smoke and haze. And that's what we're going to have to contend with as we go throughout the morning hour. But for tonight, this will be widespread light rain probably will begin to push back up to I-90. I think areas south of Eau Claire will probably not see most of the rainfall. If you're north of Eau Claire, probably some sprinkles or light rain for a few hours, but everything will probably come to an end. Southwest Wisconsin likely will not see the precipitation end until we get closer to midnight as temperatures lower in the 50s and then precipitation is done with. Now we'll get back to the upper 40s to the low 50s overnight as smoke kind of filters back into the area. So later on, there's your air qualities for the morning. We're going to have that through about noon. I think conditions will get a little bit worse, unhealthy for some as we go towards the late morning. So once the smoke clears, we have a long stretch of 70-degree weather basically, and I'll break down if we got any more rain chances later this week and for the upcoming weekend too a bit later.
All right. Thanks, Greg.
And in between newscasts, you can track weather 24/7 with the First Warn Weather app. You can find it at the App Store or Google Play.
A Winona County convicted murderer has lost the parental rights to his 2 children. Adam Fravel's children now in the legal custody of Madeline Kingsbury's parents. In December, a jury found Fravel guilty in the murder of Kingsbury. He is currently serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole at the Minnesota Correctional Facility in St. Cloud.
An Aliva daycare provider accused of severely injuring a 1-year-old will face a trial. Ashley Hove is accused of shaking and bruising the child. Prosecutors say it led to bleeding on the 1-year-old's brain. If convicted, Hove faces up to 40 years in prison. She remains held on a $200,000 bond.
A News 8 Now follow-up. Eau Claire Sojourner House securing enough funding to stay open year-round. Earlier this year, the emergency shelter was considering reducing operations to 6 months a year due to funding and staff shortages. Catholic Charities says community members and some local nonprofits helped fill the funding gap. gap.
A crash on I-90 slowed commutes today. It happened near the US 53 South and Wisconsin 35 exit. The crash causing this car to catch on fire. The two right westbound lanes were briefly blocked, bringing traffic to a crawl.
Vernon County is receiving money for new backup generators. The $255,000 grant will provide backup power to Vernon Manor, the Erlinson building, and a shared system for the courthouse, annex, and Banta buildings. Current generators at those sites are 25 years old. Officials say the new ones will offer better fuel efficiency and reduce the need for repairs.
They're 25 years newer, and so just the capabilities and the features, the digital components will help make operation and maintenance so much easier than what they are now.
FEMA's hazard mitigation program is funding the grant.
La Crosse County business leaders are taking on economic challenges and opportunities. The Seven Rivers Alliance hosting the discussion today at the Administrative Center. Representatives from Senator Baldwin and Derek Van Orden's teams were there. Topics discussed were hiring challenges, childcare costs, and A1's impact on jobs.
We do need to come up with more innovative ways of attracting and retaining employees. And so I think that there's more discussion to be had on how we as a community can come up with innovative ways to both attract and retain those folks.
The Seven Rivers Alliance plans to host similar talks around the region.
Free water taxi service starts tomorrow by Black Hawk Bridge. The bridge was shut down over detected movement. The taxi runs between Lansing, Iowa and DeSoto, Wisconsin. The service runs Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can catch it at the Lansing Marina or the Big Slough Landing. Happening around the state, a scam warning. This is coming from the Wisconsin DMV. It involves a fresh phishing scam. Scammers send texts claiming to be from the DMV. The texts warn about final notices or unpaid traffic violations. It then asks you to click on a fake link or turn over your personal information. A similar scam hit in March and April.
Coming up, a 4th of July tradition might be getting more expensive.
Why there might be less fireworks in Wisconsin this year. Up next. Well, we're just about a month away from celebrating our nation's birthday, and the cost for a key element to all the fun is now up in the air.
Jeff Wagner explains how the trade war with China this year might also influence next year's holiday.
A rainbow of excitement adorns the shelves at Fireworks Nation. But will it cost more? That's the question owner Anders Nelson admits customers keep asking this year.
Now, some of our shipments were affected by the tariffs. We definitely saw our costs are up this year. Shipping costs are up, but we're holding our prices.
While their prices hold steady, other retailers might raise them.
And that will actually depend on whether the retailer got their product here prior to the tariff hikes. And if not, how much can they absorb versus what do they need to pass on to the consumer?
Julie Heckman is the executive director of the American Pyrotechnics Association. She says consumer fireworks, the kind people buy at the store, already had a 5.3% tariff. It jumped to 20% in early March. By April 9th, President Trump's trade war with China pushed it to 145%.
Which is huge, very, very huge. And it hit at the absolute worst time when all of our products are trying to get here from China for the 4th of July.
Nelson and other retailers typically order their fireworks from China a year in advance.
Now, in our case, we had ships on the water, and so, of course, we had to take them in. So we did have some tariff charges. We had our shipping charges. But all of the ones that had not been shipped, we put a halt and just ended the orders.
Most of Nelson's product arrived before the new tariffs hit, so he's not worried about supply this year. But there is industry-wide concern regarding 2026, when the U.S. celebrates its 250th birthday.
So the demand is going to be very high, plus it falls on a Saturday and a weekend.
Fireworks production in China came to a halt during the height of the tariffs, only resuming once they were paused, creating a potential supply chain problem lingering into next year, leaving both to have this advice for those looking to celebrate this summer.
I would encourage you to shop early.
Shop carefully.
And most importantly,
just make certain that you're safe.
In North Hudson, Wisconsin, Jeff Wagner, WCCO News.
Now, studies show that more than 96% of all fireworks in the U.S. come from China. Last year, that amounted to $452 million in product.
Well, we will have more news ahead.
But first,
Fortunately, we have the smoke sticking around for one more day, but once that gets rid of on Wednesday, fairly pleasant conditions, 70s coming back for the rest of the week. We'll break down if we got any type of precipitation for the rest of the week and the weekend. That all coming up on your First Warn Weather Update after the break.
The news continues on News 8 Now. Expect more.
Dust from Africa's Sahara Desert is tracking across the Atlantic.
It could soon reach parts of the U.S. southeast. Video shows it above the Caribbean. The plume of dust could mix with lingering smoke in the south later this week.
That's so funny. I always say Caribbean. In any event, that could potentially cause unhealthy air quality and a hazy, duller sky during the day, which, you know, we've already kind of been dealing that because of the Canadian wildfire smoke that's been making its way through the last few days.
Yep, exactly. But hopefully we'll get some clear skies here soon. Let's send it over to Greg for the latest.
Yeah, we definitely have the smoke going on and the rain too. Now, smoke is from the Canadian fires because that fire season up there is kind of coming to a close. But if we still got out west fire season and the Pacific Northwest fire season, so we might be dealing with some smoke later this summer as that kind of heats up and starts burning over there. Otherwise, we do have wet conditions this evening. It's going to kind of wrap up for most areas probably by 9 or 10. Some areas that may linger to noon, not noon, to midnight. Otherwise, we'll have the smoke being the main issue. It could be a combination of low visibility due to smoke, could be mist, which means kind of like fog. You could have to deal with that. We could see lower visibility in the morning commute. We do get back to seasonal conditions tomorrow. Thursday's looking good. We do have potential cooler conditions and a few showers. That's really probably our next best chance of rain, but it's not going to be widespread like we're seeing this evening. But still, for plans you might have to contend with. Overall, the good news is all the severe weather or even stronger storms really has pushed off to the east with this line, so we're not going to be dealing with that anymore. Otherwise, you see a little bit of shower activity throughout, but notice a little bit better area towards Mason City in Iowa. That's the one that's going to be lifting up for this evening and spreading that light rain throughout most of the area, mainly south of I-90 and probably south of Eau Claire too, so this may not reach up there. So for the most part, those areas will probably remain dry, just some mist, but this area will continue to expand and then push east, and by the time we get to about 11 p.m., maybe midnight, it should be east of the area. We could see some lingering sprinkles or drizzle throughout the morning hours as we go on, but notice the cloud cover continues to kind of clear out, but that's just clouds. We still got smoke to deal with as we go throughout the morning too, and that'll be the bigger story going on. The one other issue you can see, some of this lower clouds right here near Eau Claire, near the rivers, that is somewhat fog too. So once again, we can see a combination of the two going on with smoke near the surface and potentially lower visibility due to mist or fog out there due to all the moisture that we've had. Now, the good news is the smoke aloft is going to be coming through right now. By the time we get to tomorrow morning, that has pushed off too, and we'll probably not see much in the way of that in the afternoon, but that could linger. The surface-based smoke, the one that's really going to prevent some issues, and right now in the Twin Cities they have 3 miles due to it, it's going to be really coming through later tonight after midnight, and then during the morning commute, that's when we could see this pushing east across the area, and that's when visibility could drop maybe down to 3, maybe down to 2. It'll last maybe about to 9 or 10 a.m. and then push east slowly, and we'll start seeing some improvement in the afternoon, but that air quality will probably still be a little bit worse as we go throughout. So temperatures tomorrow, all this put together, we're back in the mid-70s, could be about a degree or two below average. Then Thursday, we'll probably see a little bit cooler conditions too. We might actually see a lot more 40s. We should be about in the low to mid 50s for most areas this time of year. So the good news going into Thursday, we'll have sun in the morning, more clouds in the afternoon. Another system will be approaching, should remain dry for all Thursday. Back maybe a degree or two warmer than Wednesday, but close to seasonal average. The next chance of rain is a little weak disturbance that'll come through really Thursday night into Friday. You'll start seeing a few showers developing, and this may be overdoing a bit. It's not going to be a widespread rain. Most of the day probably will be dry, but we will have to contend with that light rain showers coming through. Maybe even Friday evening, you might have to contend with a little bit of light precipitation, but nothing like we saw this evening, but we'll see if that pans out even more. Otherwise, the bigger story is the temperature is really mid-70s, upper 70s. We do cool down after storm chances come in for Sunday. That doesn't look to be severe type thunderstorms on Sunday, but we kind of cool back down to the 70s and then climb back up. We might reach 80. It may take a while to get some warmer conditions, maybe to the middle of next week, but all in all, once we get through the smoke tissue tomorrow, it should be fairly good forecast going forward.
Yeah, pleasant
Looks like it.
temperatures, and
Pretty
we're
much.
going to have thousands of more people coming into La Crosse for state track by the end of the week.
Yeah,
so
Saturday
keeping it
looks
pleasant would be
Saturday
good.
looks okay right now. I think for all the
Nice.
activities, the rain chance really ramps up Sunday. That would be the day to watch. then.
Cool, and everybody's driving home by then.
Exactly. Good.
Perfect.
so it
Thanks,
works
Greg. Coming up next in sports, Kings of the Courts, the story on how two brothers are cherishing their final days as doubles partners as they prepare for the state tournament. Jacob is next.
Covering all the exciting action from your community. Here's News 8 Now Sports with Jacob Lenzendorf.
Well, two Kings have taken over the tennis throne in Viroqua, and later this week they'll be trying for the crown at the WIAA state tournament. Our own Kate Overton swung by practice to chat with the dynamic duo.
For Owen and Levi King, it's always been a dream to share the court together. And when they got the chance to do so this season, there was no other option.
We know we wanted to do that as soon as he was in high school.
At some point I had to play with Owen, and it is his last year, so I had to play doubles with him, you know.
A special bond shared off the court has helped them excel their game on it, something not every doubles team has.
There's definitely some strong points where we don't even have to say anything and we know what we're thinking.
Obviously there's times where we get mad at each other, but it is an advantage to just have a family member out on the court as well.
It was older brother Owen's last season at Viroqua. He made it to state in 2023, and Levi was determined to help get him back.
The night before our state match, I was telling myself, okay, really, we are going to make it, and we ended up doing so.
This year I definitely wanted to get back really bad, and it just shows that I did put enough work in, and it's really fulfilling.
Now the bond they've built on the court will be something they carry together for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, it was definitely my best tennis memory so far. I'm really glad we made it because it was the end goal, and it was what we really wanted all season.
Yeah, we've just grown as brothers even more this season, just not really spending as much time at home, but more on the court. It really boosts us to be better brothers.
Owen and Levi will begin their state tournament run on Thursday night at 6:15, and if they win, they advance to play on Friday at noon. Best of luck to them. And after a special season, former Logan Ranger Lauren Jarrett has been named U.S. Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association NCAA D3 Women's Track Athlete of the Year. It is a mouthful, but the Eagle sprinter sweeping the 100 and 200 meter dash for the second consecutive season at the NCAA Championships. The first athlete to do that since 2014-15. She also took home the award during the indoor season, making her just the 7th student athlete in NCAA Division III history to win both. Impressive stuff right there. So congrats to her. But back to the tennis a little bit. I mean, what a cool moment. Those guys are going to make some memories at state here later this week.
Absolutely. It's an ultimate teammate to have a sibling be next to you on the tennis
telepathy,
court.
just kind of knowing where you're going to be.
Yeah,
Hopefully
exactly.
they don't go too hard on each other when they get mad. But it all comes back to just being brothers at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure.
Best of luck to them.
For sure. Thanks, Jacob.
Okay, Greg has a final look at your forecast right after this.
All right, rainy evening, but that'll end by midnight. Then the air quality issue will continue through tomorrow, especially tomorrow morning. Could be a foggy, smoky start with some reduced visibility. Air quality will probably be in that yellow to orange area for most of the area for tomorrow, at least tomorrow morning. There's your highs for tomorrow, back to where we kind of should be, but it's going to be cooler in the 70s. Overall, that's really the theme. 70s pretty much through the rest 6 to 7 days, really.
Very comfy.
Yes, very.
Thanks for joining us tonight at 6. We'll see you at 10.